Hello and welcome to the walk-off, everybody. We are officially in the midst of the regular season of baseball. The Toronto Blue Jays with their season opener yesterday. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to break it down. I don't want to dive into the weeds and see what it means. If anything, I would like to take that giant turd that was opening day and just flush it. I think everyone is with me here, right? Like we don't need to.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a solace for you as a Flames fan, I'll just say Oilers podcasts are not in a very good mood today either. We lost 6-1 to the Kraken yesterday, and then the day before we lost to the Stars. We outshot them like 40-18, as
Mhm.
we usually do. And then our fucking dog shit goalie, excuse my language, little ones, uh, lets in like 5 goals on 11 shots at the start of the game.
I'm
We
sure any
battled
little
back and
ones, I'm sure
uh,
any little ones who watched that hockey game with their parents heard far worse.
probably indeed. So yeah, tough time to be a sports fan in my house. Yeah, yesterday was a rough game. Rough game.
It was a rough game. I'm Scott Belfort, joined as always by the best co-host in the biz, Adam Mack. And I know I was kind of touching on this in our preamble for the Patreon, but man, it is so too bad that this happened the way it happened yesterday. And I mean, I think all of us are well aware who have watched baseball for any amount of time. Game one really does mean nothing, right? It's what
Yeah,
point 0.6% of importance. And the best thing you can do with a stinker like yesterday is just move on from it. But man,
indeed.
walking around the city of Toronto, the excitement for opening day was so palpable. Everyone had their Blue Jays gear on. Everyone was smiling, right? There was hope in the air.
Hmm.
And you could not have smashed it more emphatically. You know, like this team just literally did not show up. Like I was
Ugh.
even trying to make a list of the positives, and outside of Alan Roden getting his major league debut hit and his major league debut, like what can we even Andre Jimenez hit that day?
Jimenez homered.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which was great because I was
yeah.
shit talking him being in the cleanup spot. Turned out maybe
He's our power guy.
that's the only move that they made right. So we are going to touch on this a little bit. Obviously, we'll get into some of the DFAs and the injuries that this team is going through. We'll talk some platoons. We'll talk Springer and the outfield. We will briefly touch on Alan Roden, and then we'll get into the Jays and Orioles, the rest of the season series, I should say. You kind of touched on this in the preamble as well, but the one good news for today is that the game is on Apple TV, so you do not have to um,
You have
put
an
yourself
excuse to
through
miss
it.
it.
You have an excuse to miss it if you need one already. So I know I'm excited for this weekend. I can't wait to watch these afternoon ball games, man. It is my
Mhm.
favorite thing to do is
Yeah.
turn on the TV, and I mean you're a couple hours before, so that 3 p.m. game on Saturday tomorrow is
So
1 year time.
it's
Beautiful.
it's a perfect grilled cheese and tomato soup
Yes.
accompaniment. Like you just start at noon, you make your lunch, you sit down 1 o'clock, you're watching a game, you're done watching games before your wife gets home from her hard day at work while you stayed home and watched ball. It's perfect, you know?
Story as old as time.
My
Yeah.
favorite part about how much it's snowing right now is I could tell my wife I shoveled today, and I'll just be like, "Oh, it must have snowed more since I shoveled."
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
shoveled twice. I didn't watch the Jays game. I was shoveling.
Baby, I can't believe how many
Couldn't keep
times I
up.
shoveled. Can you believe this sky just opening up and flooding
Uh,
us with snow? What a horrible, horrible day. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So, the first thing I noticed about yesterday, and it's in part because the promise of not being a distraction, it has been a big distraction. All of the rumors yesterday were still coming out from Hector Gomez and a few other analysts who were saying, yeah, Vladdy and the Blue Jays still in the midst of contract talks here. They're very, very close. There were rumors that the Blue Jays had offered 12 years, 450 million, that Vladdy was after 15 years. Uh 570, I think was the number that he was after. So he was after basically what the Blue Jays had offered, but 3 more years, taking him to
Mhm.
40. All the people who are pushing back about this contract, their big complaint is that Vladdy doesn't seem to show up in big games. He doesn't seem to show up when the pressure is on. His playoff performances have been below average at best, without putting any explicits in there. I'm not saying game one of this season 2025 is a massive game, but it sure had those feelings playing a division rival, all the eyes on Vladdy. It's his contract year, his walk year. So much means, so much is on the line for this year. And I think it's why Blue Jays fans are so on the edge, right? There's question marks everywhere. We don't really know how things are going to play out. A lot of our top guys that are considered core players are on expiring contracts. We have yet to figure out if this team is being stripped down and rebuilt, or if they're trying to lock in a core here and move forward with some of these guys. We don't know.
Mhm.
And with all of that being said, all of that on the line, Vladdy came out yesterday and he looked bad. He just looked bad. He was flailing at the plate. He was swinging at stuff he shouldn't have. And yes, I'm going to say, obviously, the excitement was there. And whenever guys get too high or too excited, stuff like that happens. They get impatient. But it sure would have been nice. And I'm not reading too much into game one. Again, I cannot stress enough. I'm well aware of how little yesterday actually meant. But it did mean a little. It
Mhm.
is just another example of Vladdy not showing up where we want him to show up.
Yeah.
And listen, someone has to take a little bit of the brunt for yesterday. And I understand that Vladdy is young and all of this stuff, but you know what? If he's going to make 570 million,
That's it.
he's got to
Yep.
be that guy. And so we need to start seeing it from time to time. And I don't think just the Blue Jays. I think Major League Baseball needs to see him show up a little bit in big times if he is going to be the third highest paid player in Major League Baseball. That's the thing. Even with that offer, 450 million over 12 years, if that is accurate, that would slate Vladimir Guerrero Jr. right below Shohei Ohtani and still third to Juan Soto, who obviously is
So 40-ish million a year. What are you gonna
40-ish
do?
million a year over 12 years. And listen, I'm not even that opposed to them going to 15 years at this point, but I am opposed to investing that kind of money into a guy who hasn't proved he can play a big game yet. I'm still very hopeful he can, by the way. Again, this is not shitting on Vladdy, but what I am saying is, you know what? When a team who is expected to win loses, someone has to step up and take the blame. Someone has to be that guy where you turn to them and be like, you didn't show up and that didn't help. Again, game one is
Um,
irrelevant.
so I've got Vladdy's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons of Major League Baseball, his game logs in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
So 2019, 2020, 2021, 22, 23, 24. Opening game, let's go from his rookie season forward. 1 for 4 with a double in 2019. 1 for 5 in 2020. 1 for 4 in 2021. 2 for 4 in 2022. 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs in 2023. And then last season, 1 for 5 with a home run. He started slow last year. Like I was looking at the whole like first month of the season
Yeah.
just to kind of gauge like is he a slow starter? Um, if he has a slow start this year, does that maybe re tip the scales on negotiation, he's generally a pretty good starter in
Hmm.
April.
And again, it is one game, so I don't wish to like really
No, 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 no.
overanalyze this.
I just want to like look ahead a little bit because we are in the like, okay, they're going to continue to have these contract talks, right? Like,
Hmm.
does a slow April maybe be like, okay, he's more open to a $450 million contract offer? Like if he's got I don't know, 11 home runs in April, and a 311 batting average, like probably feels pretty good about that $700 million offer, right? So
Yes.
just with that in mind, here's how and I'm only going to go OPS, okay? OPS and home runs. This will be for the first, like till the end of April in all
Okay.
6 seasons he's
His
had so far.
Aprils and his seasons.
It includes the 3 days of March and whatever, right? And obviously the 2020 season, we're in July instead of April, but you get the point. So, first 30-ish games, give or take one or two. Rookie season, OPS 781, 6 home runs. That was a 34 home run pace. In 2020, he had a 796 OPS with 5 home runs through 33 games. That was a 25 home run pace. 2021, that was his
Mega
runner-up in
year.
MVP votes season to Shohei. So through the first 24 games of the season, this was takes you to the end of April, 1.153 OPS. So amazing.
Yeah.
7 home runs on pace, pace out over 162. He was on pace for 47. So that's the
Which
kind
he
of
hit.
season that, yes, which he hit. So that's the kind of start he's looking for in April. Okay, his 7 home runs and a buttload of doubles and he had a 350 batting average through April that year. So
Hmm.
that's the hot start he's looking for if he wants a $600 million contract. The next season, 2022, we all remember, was the start of the downslide. Still, 898 OPS through April. 6 home runs. He had a 46 home run pace. Went on to have, I think it was 32 home runs that season and an 818 OPS. So felt like a down year coming off of what he was at, but still, I mean, pretty good year. 2023, I think that was his worst year that he had,
Hmm.
right? That was he finished the season with 26 home runs and a 788 OPS. So his April started with an 885 OPS and 5 home runs, a 29 home run pace. And then last season, which was his best season since the MVP season, was his first like slow start.
Hmm.
Through April, he had a 678 OPS and just 3 home runs. He was on pace for 16. Um, of course, the Jays were so out of it by May, and that was the critique that he got, right? Was that he really started playing his best ball once the games didn't mean anything,
Yes,
right?
he really did.
So all this to say, I, I don't know. What would you rather a Vladdy 2021 start where he's got a OPS over 1,000 and 7 or 8 home runs where he's on pace for 50? Or I mean, in that situation, the Jays are probably, let's say, top two in the AL East.
Hmm.
Or would you be like, all right, well, maybe we're in the third, fourth spot in the AL East because Vladdy's struggling, only has 2 or 3 home runs and an OPS in the like 650 to 700 range, but maybe we can get a deal on him. Like, do you think he panics at all? I don't think he's a panicker, is the downside there,
I
right?
don't think he panics. I mean, he's made it this far without signing an extension, right? I mean,
And the
he
slow start last year is so recent, it's so easy to point to and be like, yeah,
yeah.
I started slow last year and still had a great season. Like, I'm
And
not,
honestly, it wouldn't even shock me if he goes 3 for 4 with a dinger today, and
of
all of
course,
this is irrelevant,
of
right? I
course,
mean,
of course.
we're analyzing a micro sample size right now, and it's all we have to talk about for the
Yeah.
beginning of this season, and it was such a stinker. It's hard to just actually close your eyes, flush it down, and imagine it didn't happen. That's what we all should be doing. But here we are
Hmm.
analyzing Vladimir Guerrero Jr. on game one. But he kind of brought it on himself. He is the
Hey
guy
man,
who's
you
talking to all
want
the
that
analysts.
much money? You want to
Yeah,
be a
talking to
distraction? You want
reporters.
all the attention on you? Guess what? It's the good and the bad. And here's the bad. So deal with it.
So with yesterday's opening day roster, I'm just gonna check really quick if today's is out yet. I don't think it is. No, it's not. So for yesterday's opening roster, I'm curious on you, the grounds crew's thoughts on it. It went Bichette, Guerrero, Santander, Jimenez, Kirk, Springer, Wagner, Clement, and Roden. And I'm curious on your thoughts on it, Adam, because this is one thing that kind of stood out to me. Chris Black, friend of the show, is obviously full of all sorts of fun little stats that you would never figure out on your own, but he just has this way of digging into the weeds. But Blue Jays hitters rank in platoon advantage over the last 5 years. So this is where John Schneider has the ability to maybe go to a lefty bat off the bench or whatever it is. In
Okay.
2020, the Blue Jays ranked 26th in all of baseball. They ranked 30th in 2021, 2022. They ranked 28th in 2023 and 30th again last year. Listen, this year sure looks different with Anthony Santander as a switch hitter. You got Andre Jimenez there and Will Wagner and Alan Roden with lefty bats. If we're going into AAA, Addison Barger and Nathan Lucas. I mean, this is going to drastically help Jays hitters enjoy platoon advantages far more this year. It just is. So even when you kind of go over that opening day roster and you look at it and you're like, okay, Bichette's at the top, right-handed hitter, Vladdy, right-handed hitter. Now the nice thing with both Bo and Vladdy is they hit lefty and righties both pretty well. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Santander is that switch hitter in there, breaking things up, and then you got Jimenez, you got Kirk the righty, Springer the righty into a lefty and Wagner, into a righty and Clement, into a lefty and Roden. This is the most balanced lefty righty lineup this Blue Jays has put out there in decades.
Yeah. A
Where are
while for
you?
sure.
I would love to hear your thoughts, grounds crew members, and Adam, you in particular, just where you're at on this lineup. Do you like the shape of it? Do you like the way it is? Do you like Bichette at the top of the lineup? There's not really a lot of options for cleanup hitters. You either put a bad option for a leadoff hitter in there, or you put a not ideal option for a cleanup hitter. I know we talked about this on Mailbag, but Bichette, Guerrero, Santander, you kind of need to go 1, 2, 3 with that. And then, not to get really muddy here on you, Adam, before I throw the ball to you, but there has already been talk about how much better Vladdy is hitting in the 3 hole. Do you think that this is something that we're overblowing after just yesterday's game? I know that Twitter was full of it, right? And there is longer sample size, far longer, of him hitting second and not doing very well in comparison to hitting in that 3 hole. Where are you at on the whole thing here?
Well, I mean, to put him in the three hole, you would just have to put Santander in the two, right? Like you
Yes.
can't, you're not moving Jimenez up so that Vlad's going to be comfy at three. Again, it
Are
comes
you
back to
though?
the
Like I don't know.
no, man. I don't know. For me, it's we are in a decision of if we're going to give this guy 600, maybe $700 million.
Yeah.
He's going to have to get comfortable in a different spot. We're not talking about moving him from 3 to 7 or from 8 up to 2. Like, come on, it's
I'm with you.
yeah, it's he can't be that rigid with his routine or whatever it is where he needs to be like if you want to say he hits better out of the three spot in the first inning, okay, maybe. But the rest of the game shouldn't matter,
Yes, very true. Very true. And that is
right?
a point that sometimes gets lost.
Now, as far as the rest of the question with the lineup, I liked it yesterday. I mean, I think every decision made sense, like Vlad and Bo and Santander in the 1, 2, 3, or sorry, Bo, Vlad, Santander makes sense because of like out of necessity, right? We
Mhm.
don't have. I mean, I'm glad to see Springer's not one.
Option.
If that was the A and the B choices, I'm glad we took the one we did. And Springer isn't leading off anymore. So that alone is a win for me. Um,
I mean,
then like the
you can knock Jimenez as a cleanup hitter, but also he was the only guy to show any power last night.
That's
So
true. Um, Bichette put one to the warning track
yeah, sure did.
when Roden was on. I think Bichette's gonna have a good year.
I
That's
think
a
so
side
too.
note.
I think so too.
Um, Jimenez in the 4 spot is like it makes sense. I mean, I guess
For
you'd
lack
want
of other options,
for
it does
lack of
make
other
sense.
options, and I can't hold that against Jimenez.
Hmm.
And then like the logic they were saying of like, well, you don't want Kirk ahead of him, right?
Very
Because
true.
you can't
Clogging up that
eliminate the
base path.
speed.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, like
you take the
Jimenez is your
one
one.
real thing he's got, and then you put a log jam in front of it, and you go, now succeed. I
Yeah,
dare you. You know,
yeah,
so like, okay, so just from that reasoning, you go, okay, well, of course, Kirk has to be behind Jimenez. So then you go, well, do we have anybody else that's better than Jimenez as a hitter? And now we're already into George Springer and the Kids, which,
yeah,
by the way, great name for a band.
yes.
Um, Springer 6 makes me happy to see that like right away we're like, okay, ceremonial opening game and all, you're still not leading off. That for me was a good takeaway. Maybe
Yes.
I'm reading too much into that. It would have been very easy to strut him out as our leadoff hitter. You know, like there is a bit of a opening day. Let's just give the ball to the guy, you know. So I was glad to see right away you're 6
And I think you
because he's
put it really
probably going to
well.
be 6 through 9 the rest of the season. Like I think they're already in a spot now where we've established he's the number 6. Okay, Will Wagner, we're moving you up. You
And
know,
this is what
Alan
I was
Roten, you're
just
hitting
going to
well. We're
say.
moving you up.
You
And
know
any of
what?
those guys could take that spot, and then maybe be the 4 at some point.
Because we are in game two. So let's give these kids, George Springer and the kids, right?
Yes.
Let's give them
Ba-da-ba.
let's give them a couple weeks and see where things kind of fall out,
It's a
right?
good way to
Where
ease him in.
do
It's
the
the same
chips
thing with like
land?
having Roden in right field and Springer back in center. It's like, okay, ideally you don't have Springer in center. Roden could play center, but also like MLB debut. He's got
Yeah.
enough on his plate. Let's
Yeah.
let him do something he's comfortable with, you know, hit him at the bottom of the lineup. I I really like how it was. I
I
think
d-
we're off to a good start.
I
Lineup
do
setting
too.
wise, I think we're
I
off to a
do
good
too.
start.
I wish it would have brought more fruit to the table
Yeah.
yesterday, but what do
I wish
you
we could hit Adley Rushman for. That's what I really wish.
boy, wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, and I think we could see this lineup change if let's say a Will Wagner really starts to put the ball in play more, maybe there is a scenario where someone else is given a shot in that 2 hole or in the 4 hole. But right now, I think you go with your studs at the top of the lineup. Grounds crew, feel free to drop your comments. Where are you at on this? I know we talked about this quite a bit during mailbag, but seeing it in person happening in a regular season game and seeing how it played out, I mean, obviously not what we wanted, but you're hoping that this is a much better lineup than yesterday showed. And we saw it all spring long, right? So
Mhm.
it's too bad that the first game of the year is the biggest stinker we've seen since these guys hit the field in spring training, but here we are. So I will quickly touch on some DFAs and injuries. I know that I got a text today from a buddy who was like, "Where's Varsho?" And just a reminder, Dalton was in the Rogers Center last night. They flew him to Toronto to participate in the opening day ceremonies, to sit on the bench. He and Kevin Kiermaier are literally on a plane right now on their way back to Florida. Dalton is still going to rehab there over the next week or two. They're building up his arm strength before sending him back into the outfield. and they're just going to kind of limp through that center field, whether it's George playing there or Nathan Lucas or who
Mhm.
knows who they have playing center field. But I think Lucas and Springer are going to take the majority of those reps until Varsho is ready. Miles Straw, obviously, also on the team there. So we could see him make his debut in a Blue Jays uniform regular season game tonight. Wouldn't surprise me. We'll see how things shake out. So these are some roster moves. Jacob Barnes, an outfielder, Alan Roden, everyone's well aware of this, as well as Miles Straw, selected to the MLB roster, which meant that the Blue Jays had to do some maneuvering to fit them on the 40 man. So Ryan Burr and Eric Swanson were placed on the 15-day IL. I mean, Eric Swanson is going to be a integral part of this bullpen,
Mhm.
and I think that this is still the way the front office views it. At least that's my guess, as they haven't gone out and signed anybody who there are options out there, right? So obviously, fingers crossed, knock on all the wood, Swanson is only a week or two away. Ryan Burr as well. Outfielder Dalton Varsho has been placed on the 10-day IL, which does go to show you that, fingers crossed, he's very close. And then
Mhm.
right-handed pitcher Tommy Nance, Zach Pop, and Nick Robertson all DFA'd. So Zach Pop's tenure with the Blue Jays officially over, unless he clears waivers, in which case he'll be right back there in AAA. So thoughts on them DFAing these guys? Does it bother you at all? I mean,
No,
yeah.
it's the time of year these moves get made.
Every team is doing this. In fact, we might even
This
watch the Blue Jays pick some other scraps up. So,
that's the thing, right? Is that it is a little bit of a musical chair game this time of year. So yeah, it's yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out. I mean, not the most exciting outing from our bullpen yesterday, but
yeah,
we also in those games you don't, yeah, you know,
yeah. So, yesterday I was at Amsterdam Brewing for the Blue Jays Today live event that they were doing, which was a ton of
it's
fun. Lots of Blue Jays fans were out, but they asked a question to me that I was like, oh man, I can't wait to take this one back and ask Adam. Runway on George Springer. And this isn't how much runway you would give him.
right.
This is a prediction on how much runway this Toronto Blue Jays organization gives him. Okay, so uh, what do you need to see from George Springer to believe that this organization thinks he's providing enough value to stick with him? And how long do you think they give him underperforming and not providing that value before you see him, and I'm not saying bought out or anything crazy like that, but see him start to get more bench reps, right? Where maybe you're
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
Nathan Lucas take at bats that you're like, oh, wow, like last year, this would have been George Springer just struggling through it, but this team has run out of patience because 2025 is super important. Like, this is a do or die year.
Oh yeah, Georgie Porgy. He, I think based on seeing him in the sixth spot, I think the writing's already on the wall. That the team has recognized we can't be
Loyal
throwing a
to
game
George
away
Springer.
because
Yeah.
of loyalty to George Springer, right? Like, I mean, would that have made a difference yesterday in a 40-0 blowout? No. But there's gonna be, 5-4 games that we lose, and we go, fuck, we gave George Springer 5 at bats today, and he
Yeah.
went 0 for 5, like he gave us the Churio 0 for 5 with 5 Ks. That's those are gonna be tough. So I think him starting six on opening day was a really encouraging sign. Um, I do think that it's his runway, however long it may be, is going to be based on his performance more than anybody else's. Is
Okay.
I guess the only thing I can say as to what I think the team is going to do. Like I don't think Addison Barger is going to take any playing time away from Springer or Nathan Lucas. Like whoever has a hot bat. If George Springer's still hitting like 260, 250, 245, we'll probably keep him out there in those 6, 7 spots. That's what I think. But if George is, hitting 211, 202, 197, and the team's around 500, I still think you go, well, Nathan Lukes, okay, Lucas, you're in, buddy. Like, but I don't think it's going to come in the form of bench reps for Springer. I think it's going to come in the form of phantom back strain.
Right.
I think there's going to be a face saving maneuver there of like, hey man, like you're let's all like do each other a favor here, and maybe your neck's sore. Like
Yeah.
maybe it's not an IL stint, but like maybe it's your day to day.
Yeah.
With an oblique strain or something, right? Like,
Because I really do, Adam. I want him to succeed. I truly do. Like I am not cheering against George Springer, and I know that we got a comment from our mailbag. I should just pull it up here.
annoyed with us for being so down on Springer.
It wasn't really annoyed with us, but it was, you know what? Like you guys are acting like he's not a major league player, and he is, and
Eh.
it is spring training, and you know what? And there is some truth to that, absolutely. My biggest fear for George Springer is that he hits a 240 batting average, an OPS of 685. He is slightly below average. And I don't know if you've ever been camping where you go into the car, you've had a few to drink, right? And you close the door, but the door doesn't fully close and the light's on, but you don't really notice. And that light over the night doesn't instantly kill the battery. In fact, you open the back of the car numerous times. You still don't notice, right? You're pulling stuff out of there. The lights are still coming on. You're good, right? Then you wake up in the morning and that light has been on all night, slowly but surely draining the battery, killing the car, and stopping you from being able to start it. And that is my literal worst nightmare for George Springer, is that he's just good enough to not pull him out of the lineup. I hope he's great. I hope literally Adam and I are sitting here in June apologizing to everybody for all of the George slander that we have done over the last 12 months. That we are sitting here with egg on our face going, oh my goodness, this 35-year-old has completely had a renaissance. We did not see this coming. Georgie's hitting in the leadoff spot again. Everyone's talking about, we knew he was always good, right? And I want to eat that shit burger. I want it. Give me that George Springer shit burger that I have to freaking save face and apologize. But my fear is, like I just said, that he's just slightly below average. He's constantly in that 6 or 7 hole, and he's just an easy out in a spot you really would like a guy who could produce some runs. Now, is that what's going to happen? I don't know. Does he even have enough leeway? Maybe this front office is a little bit ballsier about it than I'm giving them credit for, right? Maybe he is slightly below average, and they do give him fewer reps. I don't know.
So I'm not going to go all the way back to the start of his career
Yeah.
in Houston, but during his time in Toronto, we're going to look at his first month with the team, like we did with Vladdy. So the first season in Toronto, he missed a bunch of time early. He did play a couple games at the end of April, I think 4, and then missed some time and came back towards the end of June. So we're going for his first season in Toronto. This was a good season, remember. This was 2021. He hit 22 home runs in just 78 games and had a 907 OPS that year. That was as a 31-year-old. That was the happiest we've ever been with George Springer. The only complaint was, I wish he was in the game more. Remember that complaint? Oh, if only we could have more at bats out of George Springer. Let's move him to right field and maybe that'll help. Okay, so first season in Toronto, first 34 games of the year. That takes him to the end of July. But again, with the missed time, it is what it is. 11 home runs, a 941 OPS. He was on pace for 52 home runs. That was his first season in Toronto. Second season with the Jays. Through the end of April, he played 21 games. He had 6 home runs. That's a 46 home run pace and an OPS of 947. Again, really good. He ended up finishing the season 133 games played, an 814 OPS, and 25 home runs. I mean, it was not amazing, but still really good,
Yes.
right? And then the last 2 seasons have been bad. So in 2023, by the end of April, he had played 28 games. He had an OPS of 599 and 3 home runs. It was a 17 home run pace. Last season, OPS 621, 3 home runs. That's a 17 home run pace through 29 games. That is the kind of April he's going to have that's going to play him onto the IL. Like that is. So I don't know. I guess here's where I'd say to be optimistic, Scott, because you're worried about the camper light draining the battery, just good enough,
Yeah.
whatever. I don't think we're going to see that out of George. I think he's either got it and he's going to be good and competent and you feel good about it, or he just doesn't. And because those are of the 4 seasons we saw, there isn't really a middle grounds in there, right?
Yeah.
Like it's either really good, great, or it's quite ugly. So I think that the runway might be a month. That might be it might feel like a really long runway to be given a guy with a 599 OPS, 3 or 4 at bats a game. But until Dalton Varsho's healthy and back, I don't think there's even a conversation to be had about how long is the runway.
Especially with Miles Straw being the alternate, right? It's like, okay, well, if we're just going to play a guy who can't hit, we might as well play a guy who can't hit who maybe can run into one every once in a while. So, yeah.
So
drop your comments, everybody. Honestly, would love to hear from you, the grounds crew. Always enjoy your takes. We'll try and tackle this in mailbag. Where are you at on George Springer? And I don't mean just as a guy. I mean, like, build on what Adam said. Do you feel that he still has some baseball in him and he's going to work this out and be fine? Or do you think we are going to see a moment at the end of April where this front office has to make some really tough decisions on playing time minimum and maybe even more than that?
He is now 35 and a half years old and 2 full seasons removed from anything you'd call a good season.
That's the thing, right? It happens fast. And maybe I again, I cannot state how wrong I hope Adam and I are here, but maybe he's ready to retire, right? Like, obviously, he's making so much money. There's no way that he retires. He will just continue to be a bench piece or get bought out before he, steps away from this sort of money. But he might, if there wasn't money on the line, I almost wonder if George would have Brandon belted it and just at 35 been like, you know what? I've had a good career. I've made my money. I'm walking away. We'll see.
We'll see.
All right, let's end things here on an attempt at positivity, which is yesterday was just game 1. Doesn't really matter. It's a 4-game series. Really, this is a successful series playing a juggernaut like the Baltimore Orioles. If they take two of 4.
Yeah, so, I want to split.
So you want to split. Today's game is on Apple TV, so it's going to be tough to watch if you don't have Apple. Gosman is taking the mound for the Blue Jays versus...
Depends who you ask, but some people would say it's tough to watch even if you do have Apple.
Right. There you go. Okay.
It's quite the experience.
Adam,
it's quite the viewing experience.
I said I'm trying to put a positive spin.
Oh, it's positive. Apple continues to get better with their broadcasts. Is this the year?
So, I'm excited for this because Kevin Gosman has looked really good in spring, and this team really does need him to be at least the legit number two again. And he struggled last year a little bit. I think that adding that third pitch is going to go a long way, and he just seems like he's healthy and confident again in 2025, which is what you want to see out of the guy at the top of your starting rotation. So that's Kevin Gosman versus Old Man Morton. Charlie Morton still throwing balls. It's incredible. That guy's 40 years old now. He was one of the Orioles free agent signings, one of the few free agent signings they made last year. Then you see Dean Kramer versus the Madman, Max Scherzer on Sunday, or sorry, on Saturday.
Saturday afternoon. Yeah.
Yes. And then the other free agent signing that the Baltimore Orioles did out of Japan, Sugano, is going to go head to head with the Hound, Chris Bassett. And it should be three pretty good pitching matchups.
Yeah.
These are hittable guys, by the way. If Charlie Morton, Dean Kramer, and Sugano are the ones who are baffling Blue Jays hitters,
Not a good sign.
mailbag on Tuesday could be not as positive, but we'll we'll cross our fingers and hope that this team somewhat puts it together and gives us a reason to smile, gives us a reason to believe again, and gives us a reason to hope that all of these offensive increases we watched over the spring are real and they are going to translate to the regular season. Feel free to drop your comments. Where are you at on this team? Do you think that yesterday was a blip? I sure hope so. Let's at least be delusional for a couple more games, everybody. All right. Thank you so much for following along. We will get to as many questions and comments as we can in mailbag. I will remind you, Baseball Town is officially back. So we are running a live show at Comedy Bar April 17th. We have early bird tickets on sale right now. So $20 tickets. Our panel is absolutely fantastic. We have Blake Murphy and Julia Cruz from Jays Talk Plus Sportsnet. We have Mitch Bannon, formerly of Sports Illustrated, now doing some contract work with MLB.com. We've got Adam and Nick, the boys from Blue Jays Today, coming down with a fun little segment where they're going to be going head to head against each other for Blue Jays trivia. And then, as if that's not enough, we've got our roast battles back up and going. It's going to be the Seattle Mariners versus the Toronto Blue Jays. Of course, the Mariners is going to be the series that the Blue Jays are in on the 18th, 19th, 20th of April, and it's always a good time. I was kind of touching a little bit in the preamble on Patreon before we hit the public side of things. It just how much fun this little Blue Jays fandom community has become. And it's kind of the same couple dozen people that are coming out. And I just say, let's grow it, baby. Let's get more of you out there. Give us all a reason to get together and either complain or celebrate our Toronto Blue Jays. We need both, whether it is just a bitch session or
Or a high five session.
or a high five session. Exactly. So I will throw that ticket link up into the comment section here. Get on it until April 1st. Tickets are only $20 and then they go up to 25.
For mailbag, I want to know what genre of music is George Springer and the Kids.
Okay, I like that. George Springer and the Kids. What are they playing, folks? Let us know. All right, everybody. Again, thank you so much for following along. To all of our Patreon members, we couldn't run the channel without you. And take care of yourselves. We'll see you on Tuesday.